Hello everyone! Now I tell you about reports that generate XML2Selenium framework after testing execution. The information about these reports is available at XML2Selenium.com website in Study section. We will consider existing reports, their types and advantages. Through the examples, we will analyze the report's features. After test execution, XML2Selenium generates the index page which helps us to access the reports. This page contains a list of links that lead to different reports and serves for easy navigation and transition between different types of reports. The first report, which is generated by XML2Selenium, is business report, the most important and commonly used. With the help of this report, you can find detailed information about tests and test case execution, to get access to the various results of framework operation, to view the source code of the test. In case of problems, to find out the exceptions and errors that have occurred and learn about many other indicators. The next report you can find is behavior report. This report contains clear information without unnecessary details in a simple table form. There are information on operation, test cases, tests, different use cases which are divided by BDD tags, and their status. This report is not intended for technicians, but for managers, as the report explains the overall picture of the test result. The next report, technical. It allows you to view information about DVM parameters that were used for run, also information about connected framework plugins, as well as information about the technical logs, which can be useful for developers of XML2Selenium. When test was run locally, all reports you can get following the path. The folder with the product, target, XML2Selenium, and here is the folder structure with all reports, business, behavior, technical reports, and index page from which you can get all the necessary reports. If you run your test using Maven console, after it built test folder with the reports is cleared and replaced with the last report. If you run the test using development environment, for example Eclipse, then the reports folder isn't cleared and new reports just added in the existing folders. For your benefit, we have published in the open access a number of reports from different products that we use during framework development. These reports are always up to date. The first product we looked through is XML2Selenium Master. Master product is a product which is used in product development. Now here is about 500 tests, and the tests are constantly replenished. This product, as you can see, contains only green tests. This done in order to increase the constant coverage of the new features, as well as to ensure that our framework is stable. By examining these tests, you will find a lot of useful examples. The next project that we have posted is a project with smoke tests. As master tests always have to be stable, but in practice we face with such situation when not all of our tests were successful. For this purpose, we support a specific set of tests, about 200, which shows all possible situations, failed tests, validation errors, etc. This project allows us to do effectively manual testing of our product before each new release, and also allows to create automated tests that cover the smoke tests reports of our product. All these tests are written in XML2Selenium, thus we cover our own reports with the same tools and hence constantly use XML2Selenium in practice. You can explore this report to understand with what error condition and tests you can face. As I said before, we create automated tests that cover our own reports. It is a self-testing project. This project shows us the result of such test execution and allows us to cover with automated tests as much as possible our report's functionality and allow to improve the regression testing of our tests. And now let's review each type of report through the example of project with all possible combinations. The first page we see is index page. Here are links to access the report information, class name with which tests were run, report size, test run ID. This ID is unique and allows to distinguish the different run types if you run tests many times, and information about the report creating date. The page contains information about XML2Selenium version. Now let's open behavior report, which shows us the overall picture of tests results. This report contains lists of test cases and tests in each test case, different use cases which are divided by BDD elements. All this is presented as a tree structure. The result of each element execution of this list is shown with color mark. There are two types of color marks for test cases and tests: red, error result, and green, success result. The use case elements also has several types of color marks. In addition to red and green marks, there are blue and gray label. Blue label means that inside BDD tag there is no code. The other word BDD tag is empty, and gray that the code that follows the BDD tag is not fulfilled. Other words, test didn't read this element. In case of error, near the corresponding item we see the error icon hovering, which is summary of the error condition appears, and when we click on it, we see the full stack trace of exception. Errors are displayed for tests and test cases. For each test case, we can also get additional information: test case name, file name, a brief description of test case, the time required to run this test case, and the text for each test case and tests. Besides, we can see the source code of test case, clicking on the name of test case or file name with the test. We can get the contents of test source code or BDD element source code if we mouse over the test or BDD element correspondingly in a pop-up window. In this report, we can use the ability to filter by tags. All tests that are related to this tag will be filtered. The ability to reset filter, the ability of folding and unfolding the content of particular test and test cases, as well as folding and unfolding all test cases. In addition, in behavior reports, we have the link for each test case in order we can go in the corresponding test case of business report. Behavior report also has general information about the version of XML2Selenium framework, the version of the current run mode, and the link to index page. Now let's open business report and see its structure. As I said, this report contains detailed information about execution of tests and test cases. Here we can see the table with folders list with test cases, the result of the tests and test cases. For each folder, there is percentage statistics of test execution and the average time of each test case's execution. Folders are hierarchical structured, and we can, in this table, refer to the particular test case of this folder. Let's now look through the most important table that contains all basic information. As you can see, there is information about the test cases and tests. Information on test cases are divided into groups of folders in which they are located. There is information on the results of folders, time, and percentage test coverage of functionality. For each test case related to its test are displayed. If there is only one test, then the information about this particular test is displayed. But if there are a few tests, then you can see the icon for the unfolding and folding. For example, we see the basic test case. There are several tests in it. For each test case, we see the information about the test case name, the file name with a link to the log file, a brief description of test case, text execution time, the percentage of test coverage, and tags related to this test case. Here we can see the test statistic for this test case. For example, open our basic test case. It has one skipped test, one failed test, and two successfully passed tests. This information appears in the test case. Each test case also has general information: test name, description, tags, status, and artifacts of each test, information about the logs, screenshots, and snapshots, video if it was recorded. We can open any artifact of the test and see it in business report. If our test and test case were unsuccessful, we can see the error icon for each test and test case when we mouse over this icon. And we can get a brief error description, and when we click on this icon, we can get a detailed exception extract trace. There is the same situation with test case. Business report has WebView component through which we can view the source code of test case, test, and its other element. Click, for example, the test case name, and here WebView are opened for our test case. As you can see, our test case is highlighted in red. It means that this WebView component is active. Rightward, we can see the source code of test case. To navigate through the test case element, we have a tree which has all the tests. We can click on each of tests to view the source code of each element. For example, here is the source code of import file. The amount of import file is unlimited, and they may include any number of other import files. All elements are clickable and have a special backlight depending on their status. If the element status is error, then it is red. If the element status is ignore, then it is yellow. Blue color means that the element is fail. Green points success element. Import file are gray. For navigation, we can also use the navigation chain. In other words, breadcrumb. Here it is. This chain will be displayed in case of failed tests. It is a path from the root of test or test case to input file in which the error occurred. In this test, we can see the error inside of the test. Let's see a more complex example when an error is situated in the input file. Let's open this test case. Here we can see a hierarchy of inputs, and clicking on breadcrumb element, we see that we have a bug in the third input. In other words, breadcrumbs show us in order each element and the place where the error occurred. If you open WebView for test, then we will see the highlighted test and place where the error occurred. The breadcrumb will be already built. In WebView component, you can see the error message for each element. And you can also cross a complete description of the error that occurred with the full stack trace. In business reports, you can use filter by the result of test and test cases. For example, select the error filter, and we see that we have all the test and test cases filtered by the corresponding parameter. You can reset the filter for definite test case by clicking on the gray element, or reset the filter for the whole folder. Or you can also reset all filters, clicking here. In business reports, you can also use filtering by tags. For example, selected filter by action tag. We filter out all the test and test cases in which this tag is present. You can also use double filtration, for example, by action tag and successful past tests and test cases. Here you can reset all filters. In business reports, it's possible to collapse and expand the content of the definite test cases and all test cases at once. We can go from any test cases in business report to the corresponding test case in behavior report. For example, clicking on the link root test case, we go to the corresponding test case in behavior report and return back. From the folders table, we can go to the folder in the test case table and view the available tests set. From here, you can easily go back by clicking on this icon. In business reports, you can see the table that shows the percentage of test coverage of relevant business documentation or test plan. The information in this table will be displayed only if in the test cases you specify coverage doc attribute. Here it is. In this attribute, you will write the link to your business documentation or to the relevant paragraph of your test plan. At the top of business report, you can see information about the used version of your framework, the link back to index page, and the version of current run mode of framework. Let's go back to our index page and see another kind of report, technical report. In technical reports, you can get acquainted with information about DVM parameters, plugins, and logs of framework. All of DVM parameters divided in several types. Framework determines parameters for framework. WebDriver determines parameters for WebDriver settings. Tree, uses only by framework developers, checks framework running flow. Browser stack type determines parameters for integration with browser stack. And other type, the other parameters which can be used during test run. In plugins paragraph of technical report, all plugins that are used in the framework are described. The last paragraph of technical report is logs. Here is information about the launch of framework and all logs of framework configuration that are not related to a particular test or test case. In technical report, you can see the information about your framework version and link back to index page. That's all. Thank you all for your attention.